Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam
Naran Chaiva Narottamam
Naranjayva
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayamudire
Tato
Nashtaprayasva Bhadresu
Nastapradeshu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhagavati Uttam Sloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, titled The Divisions of Faith. And today's verse is verse number 8. Ayu sattva balarogya
Ayu Sattva Bal Arogya
sukha priti vivardhana
Sukha Priti Vivardhana
rasya snigdha sthira hridya
Rasya Stigna Stira Ridya
ahara satvika priya.
Ahara Satvika Priya
Ayu sattva balarogya
Ayu Sattva Bal Arogya
sukha priti vivardhana
Sukha Priti Vivardhana
rasya snigdha sthira hridya
Rasya Stigna Stira Ridya
ahara satvika priya.
Ahara Satvika Priya
Any Prabhujis or Matajis would like to read?
Ayuhu Sattva Bal Arogya
Ayu sattva balarogya
Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha
sukha priti vivardhana
Rasya Stigna Stira Rudya
rasya snigdha sthira hridya
Ahara Satvika Priyaha
ahara satvika priya.
Ayu Sattva Balarogya
Ayu
Ayu
sattva
Sattva Bal
balarogya
Arogya
Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha
sukha priti
Priti
vivardhana
Vivardhanaha
Rasyaha Snigdha Sthira Hrudya
rasya snigdha
Stigna
sthira
Stira
hridya
Rudya
Ahara Satvika Priyaha.
Ahara
ahara
Satvika
satvika priya.
Priya
Word by word meaning. Ayu, duration.
Ayu duration of life
Life.
Sattva, existence.
Sattva
Sattva
existence.
existence
Bala, strength.
Bala strength.
Bala strength
Arogya, health.
Arogya health.
Arogya health
Sukha, happiness.
Sukha happiness.
Sukha happiness
Priti and satisfaction.
Priti and
Priti and
satisfaction.
satisfaction
Vivardhana, increasing.
Vivardhana increasing.
Vivardhana increasing
Rasya, juicy.
Rasyaha
Rasya
juicy.
juicy
Snigdha, fatty.
Snigdha fatty.
Stigna fatty
Sthira, enduring.
Stiraha
Shira
enduring.
enduring
Hridya, pleasing to the heart.
Sudhyaha
Rudya
pleasing to the
pleasing
heart.
to the heart
Ahara, food.
Ahara food.
Ahara food
Sattvika, to one in goodness.
Sattvika to
Sattvic
one
to
in
one in
goodness.
goodness
Priya, palatable.
Priyaha
Priya
palatable.
palatable
Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Foods dear to those
Foods dear to those
in the mode of goodness
in the mode
In
of
the mode
goodness.
of goodness
increase the duration of life,
Increase the
increase the
duration of life.
duration of life
purify one's existence,
Purify one's
purify
existence.
one's existence
and give strength,
And give
and
strength,
give strength
health,
health,
health
happiness,
happiness,
happiness
and satisfaction.
and
and
satisfaction.
satisfaction
Such foods are juicy,
Such foods are
Foods
juicy,
are juicy,
fatty,
fatty,
wholesome,
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 and pleasing to the heart.
and pleasing to the
pleasing
heart.
to the heart.
So, as the verses are related, I wanted to have somebody read the ninth verse translation, and then there is another page. Somebody would like to read this page?
Yeah, foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else would like to read the 10th translation and purport in this page?
Food prepared
Food
more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness.
Read, Prabhu.
Yeah.
the purpose,
Yeah. Please
the
go ahead. Prabhu.
purpose, okay, go on, Prabhuji. The purpose of food is to increase the duration of life, purify the mind, and aid bodily strength. This is its only purpose. In the past, great authorities selected those foods that boosted health and increased life duration, such as milk product, sugar, rice, wheat, fruits, and vegetables. These foods are very dear to those in the mode of goodness. Some other foods, such as baked corn and molasses, while not very palatable in themselves, can be made pleasant when mixed with milk or other foods. They are then in the mode of goodness. All these foods are pure by nature. They are quite distinct from untouchable things like meat and liquor. Fatty foods, as mentioned in the 8th verse, have no connection with animal fat obtained by slaughter. Animal fat is available in the form of milk, which is the most wonderful of all foods. Milk, butter, cheese, and similar products give animal fat in a form which rules out any need for the killing of innocent creatures. It is only through brute mentality that this killing goes on. The civilized method of obtaining needed fat is by milk, slaughter is the way of subhumans. Protein is simply available through splitting, etc.
Split peas, dal, whole wheat, etc. Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else would like to read this page? A continuation of purport 10.
Foods in the mode.
Foods in the mode of passion, which are bitter, too salty, or too hot, or overly mixed with red pepper, cause misery by reducing the mucus in the stomach, leading to disease. Foods in the mode of ignorance or darkness are essentially those that are not fresh. Any food cooked more than 3 hours before it is eaten, except prasadam, food offered to the Lord, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. Because they are decomposing, such foods give a bad odor, which often attracts people in this mode, but repulses those in the mode of goodness. Remnants of food may be eaten only when they are part of the meal that was first ordered to the Supreme Lord, or first eaten by saintly persons, especially the spiritual master. Otherwise, the remnants of food are considered to be in the mode of darkness, and they increase infection or disease. Such foodstuffs, although very palatable to persons in the mode of darkness, are neither liked nor even touched by those in the mode of goodness. The best food is the remnants of what is offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord says that he accepts preparations of vegetables, flour, and milk when offered with devotion. Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. Of course, devotion and love are the chief things which the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts. But it is also mentioned that the prasadam should be prepared in a particular way. Any food prepared by the injunctions of the scripture and offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be taken even if prepared long, long ago, because such food is transcendental. Therefore, to make food antiseptic, eatable, and palatable for all persons, one should offer food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you very much, everyone. Let's chant the pranam mantra. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjalakaya Chakshurmalitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shivanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Archakalpataru Vishakapa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivash Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Lachal Nivasa Nityaya Paramatmane Valavatra Subhadrabhya Jagannathaya Namo. Thank you so much for joining this wonderful song. And what a verse to really ponder today, verse number 8, where Krishna is so beautifully explaining the food in the mode of goodness, which is our verse today. But I wanted to have your impression on the other food in verse number 9 and 10 in terms of mode of passion and mode of ignorance, which you all read today. So we'll deep dive into this beautiful subject matter. I'll try my best, but I may not be good enough because this is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the only way to understand it is how Lord has explained it, go one by one. So always Bhagavad Gita is a call to action. Okay. So the action here, the call is what kind of food you should eat in the mode of goodness. So there are three recommendation which Lord is saying is rasya. That means the food which is juicy and which is snigdha, one which is fatty, and the food which is hridya, that means which is pleasing to heart. So if you eat this kind of food, then Krishna is saying in the mode of goodness, if you eat this kind of food, then what do you get? Call to action every time. Bhagavad Gita is a call to action. Ayu, that means your life span will increase. Your existence, sattva, will prolong. Bala, you'll get a lot of strength by eating this kind of food. And you'll be arogya, healthy. And you'll get sukha, happiness, and priti, that means satisfaction. So here, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, as I mentioned, that in the last verse, Krishna talks about how the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance transcend our food, sacrifice, austerity, and charity, right? So these three verses go into how modes control the food, and that they are 8, 9, 10. So we are focusing on 8 because we all want to eat in the mode of goodness. But at the same time, we need to have the right understanding of what the mode of passion foods are and mode of ignorance foods are. So this is a very nice subject matter. This is why Krishna consciousness talks about everything end to end, the way we live, the way we eat, the way we deal with different individuals, the way we have the relationship, the way we do charity, the way we do sacrifice. So Bhagavad Gita is a way of life. When we embrace Bhagavad Gita, it basically imbibes on us how we should lead our life. So Krishna is giving a recommendation here is you should eat something which is juicy in terms of fruits, vegetables, full of juice, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead has created this beautiful universe, and which is fatty. Fatty doesn't mean the fats of the things which of animals or things like that. The fat is fatty if you basically eat a fatty vegetable or a fatty fruit, you would end up getting a lot of energy, which Krishna is saying, bala. You'll have no disease. And that's the reason why, as more and more chemicals are getting added, you're getting away from the organic way of, you know, agriculture. Then all these problems are coming, and because of which, by the time a person is 40 or 50, he is devoid of minerals, vitamins. So he has to be given supplement to kind of recoup all that what he has lost. So Krishna is beautifully explaining what kind of food you should eat. And if you eat this, you'll get some very nice uh, desires like what we all yearn for. We all want to live long in the service of the Lord. We want to have a safe and healthy existence. And we have to have a arogya lifestyle, which is what health is talking about. We need to have a lot of strength. There is a lot of weakness in devotees when they get to the age of 40 or 50 because they're devoid of vitamins and things like that. And then the food should lead us to happiness. And then it should give us priti. That means it should be satisfactory in our lifestyle. And then Krishna talks about the the bitter food, the sour food, the salty food, the hot, pungent, dry, burning. These are the foods which are in mode of passion. They cause distress, misery, and disease. And then once you eat stale food, which is decomposed, which is tasteless, and that is where in the earlier verses we talked about pickle. Pickle is often decomposed, not fresh. And there are advantages and disadvantages of that. And the food consisting of remnants and untouchable things are in the mode of goodness. So, so whenever Srila Prabhupada is explaining about fat here in this verse, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying the fat need not be animal fat. The best and wonderful fat available in this world, which is animal, is milk, butter, cheese. And these fat give animal fat to us. And there is no need for us to kill innocent creatures because we can get animal fat. So the excuse people give that they don't get animal fat is incorrect because milk, butter, cheese, and similar milk products are full of nice animal fats. And anytime we choose the food, it showcases our mode of goodness or passion or ignorance. Sometimes it is considered whenever you are vegetarian and when you are going to a restaurant or wherever and people are eating meat, it is considered hep to be non-vegetarian without truly understanding the inner workings of why you have to be a vegetarian and why you should not eat meat. People are helped by the sheer lack of knowledge which you all have from the Bhagavad Gita, which Bhagavad Gita is clearly mentioning the kind of food. Uh, so, so whenever we choose a food where there is brutal activity which goes behind the scene, it is not a civilized method of obtaining the food. Whenever a cow is milked, cow gives more and more milk because after the calf takes the milk from the cow gives infinite amount of milk, she likes to give the milk because it's a very natural process of obtaining food. And 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 whenever something is happening without the enthusiasm or the interest with brute force, there is a cruelty. So whatever we eat, the consciousness with which we eat, the consciousness with which we pick up the food we want to eat, really relays or have an impression on the things we end up doing. So whenever we see something, it has a lasting impression on our memory. And gradually this things which have gone into our conditioning eventually shows up. So whenever you see a lot of brutality involved, and it goes into your conditioning, it goes into your impression, and that eventually translates to memory, and that eventually gets to your consciousness. A time comes when people are not afraid to kill any other personality, and that's why, because of this brute force, there is a lot of war, there's a lot of battle which is happening, and the consciousness with which you end up picking up your food habits, like how Krishna is mentioning over here, it gives us a sense of civilized mindset. And a human being, and Srila Prabhupada in a prior uh, uh, purport is saying, trying to eat meat is like having a subhuman life, whereas a human has to be in the form of civilized, because we are civilized, but our civilizations have always been won with war and battles, because of which that cruelty has prevailed. But nowhere in the scriptures there is any references to brutality, and that is where Krishna, and there are some scientific reasons. So it is mentioned that if 10% of the meat eaters they become vegetarians, the world hunger can be eradicated. This is because when you end up eating meat from an animal or this thing, so the uh, amount of vegetation they end up taking, which eventually get translated into the meat you end up eating, is in 1:100. So if some people, 10% of the meat eaters, because today more than 2/3 of the world is non-vegetarians. So what they're saying is, if 10% of those they cease to be non-vegetarians and they take up vegetarianism, then the amount of vegetation which is left to be eaten by others will be so significant, then the world hunger can be eradicated. This is a study which was done not long ago. So when meat is lying on a pasture or in a field, it's called caracas. Eagles and the vultures they prey on it. But when the same meat is hanging from a shop, it's called food. So we have to think in a very conscious manner. When that meat is left unattended, it is carcass. And when it is hanging from a shop, it is food. So we have to recognize that the difference is not much. So if you end up eating the brutality which is behind it, then the consciousness will sow you reap. So, and also when a man kills a tiger, you call it sport. But when a tiger kills a man, it's called ferocity. So some of the greatest philosophers have said it. I'm forgetting who said it. But when a man kills a tiger, it's called a sport. But when a tiger kills a man, it's called ferocity. So is this the civilization we are supposed to be living in? So we have to constantly think about, is this how? And also, if you look at our intestines, so because this meat and these products, when they stay long in our intestine, it causes infection. That's the reason why the herbivores small intestine is significantly longer than the carnivores. Carnivores, for example, a tiger or a lion, their intestines are much smaller because the food is supposed to be removed from their system soon, because more they stay, it causes them to suffer because of the infection. And our small intestines are longer. So by design, we are not supposed to have meat in our diet because of the design of, and also if you look at our canine teeth, we have two canine teeth, but the herbivores have only two canines, is like us most of the time, to kind of chew. And but if you look at the carnivores, they have so many canines in their because their intent is to shred and chew. So by design, we are not, but we have all the reasons in the world with so much of peer pressure. There is a lot of wrong information which is going around. And also Krishna says, so we are not supposed to just stay in the mode of eating, which is pleasing, which is nourishing, but we have to recognize that in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned, if you do stay in the mode of goodness, you go up in your subsequent lives. And if you end up being in passion, you probably stay at the same place, and in mode of goodness, you fall down. But our intent is not to go up down in this life cycle, right? This life, we do something good and you go up, and then you do something bad, you come down. Our intent is to transcend. That's why Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, and also Srila Prabhupada is saying, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. That means you have to just not eat vegetarian food. You're also supposed to offer it to the Lord so that you go beyond the modes, go beyond the mode of goodness into an area where you transcend and you never go up, down, like Krishna is saying, Urdham Gachanti Sattota. That means if you do mode of goodness, you go up and stay there or go down. So our intent is to not go up and down every life, up and down. So what we should end up doing is not to eat vegetarian food, but we have to eat Krishna's food. So we have to take the food, offer it to Krishna, make it Krishnized, or make it Jagannathized, or make it offerable to the Lord. And what they are essentially patram pushpam phalam toyam. Patram means leaf, pushpam means flower, phalam means flower, and toyam means water. So as long as you give this, your food, which comprise of these items, and you offer it to the Lord with love, and when you offer it to the Lord, then the same vegetarian food become Krishnized, and that becomes prasadam at the end, because it is bhoga before it is offered to the Lord. Lord enjoys it, and after it is offered, Lord uh, glances at, and also it is mentioned by our acharyas that Lord's saliva is there in the offering, and that when you eat, that you only eat that day in day out. It is established that your lifestyle can change. People have just changed their lifestyle by eating prasadam all their life. There has been many proofs. It has been established so many times that by just eating Krishna's food, you can totally transform your lives. So we are not just eating food in mode of goodness, as Krishna is saying here. We are making it a notch higher by offering it to the Lord. So that's why anything we end up doing, just offer to the Lord. Just keep it in front of the Lord. Put some tulsi leaves. If in winter you don't get green tulsi leaf, put some dry tulsi leaves also, and and uh, and and utter the very simple pranam mantra. If you don't know, um, Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. If you don't know that, you can just chant Hare Krishna and offer it. Leave it for some time. When somebody is getting seated, you wash their hands. So you take a little spoon, think, call out for the Lord to come and get seated, and then wash their hand. Leave the foodstuff, bhoga, with Tulsi Maharani in there, and cover it up with a curtain or something, and then go after 10 minutes, and uh, you you alert them that you have arrived, and then wash their hands again after you eat after they have taken your prasadam, and uh, then you can take it, and that bhoga has eventually become prasadam, and there is a power of prasadam. And here Srila Prabhupada is saying, whenever that prasadam is touched by your spiritual master, or a exalted devotee, it becomes, from Mahaprasad, it becomes Mahaprasad. And that's how it becomes more powerful again and again and again. So there is a lot of benefit of that. Krishna is beautifully saying, if you really want to nourish your health, get strength, increase your duration of life, just eat what is recommended in the scriptures, and you will feel it in this lifetime, and you will experience it in this lifetime. So we can go on and on, but at least from these 3 verses which you read, I hope you understood the importance of food in the mode of goodness, passion, endurance, and it will help you in your way to choose food. Whenever you are choosing food, whatever food you choose, you end up eating that. You become that, essentially. So if you end up eating a lot of salty, a lot of pungent, there are consequences. It is mentioned, and medical technology is a testament to that. And what the medicine specialists are telling us, Krishna has told us millions of years ago. You just follow this, everything will fall in place. Just eat prasadam, and it is also mentioned that the amount of calories, uh, some unit of grams of certain food is going to give you, is significantly more than the amount of uh, calories the non-vegetarian food is going to give. So, and there are a lot of technical literature around it, and also as there is a lot of multinationals who are selling the meat-based food, you'll also find a lot of literature on that. But for us, the main literature is Bhagavad Gita, and here Krishna is beautifully explaining what to eat and what not to eat. So we can go on and on, but I'd like to hear your comments, corrections, and reflections. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Any
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Any question, comments, reflections, thought process?
Hari Prabhu joined it, so went to temple, came back, so just joined.
Thank you, Prabhu, for joining. Any thoughts about today's class, Prabhu?
I joined late, Prabhuji, but the last part which I heard about anything offering one should be eaten, and avoiding the pungent food, outside food, that is something means we are practicing. But the only question, Prabhuji, when we go out, kind of any meeting or any official meeting or tour, anywhere we go out, so how that will be managed, that is one thing. And the second thing, Prabhuji, means uh, sometimes it is quite difficult. Let's say that, okay, if we are going out for any trip, not trip, means official meeting even, let's say that we are going out for 3-4 days, maybe from home we can take Krishna Prasadam offered food for one day, but next 2 days becomes difficult. So those are the issues comes. Uh, but in Ekadasi days, Prabhuji, means I make sure that even if I am out, so nearest ISKCON temple, so Govindas, so to have the Ekadasi Prasadam, that is the good thing. I mean, that is the benefit of this big, movement by Srila Prabhupada. That okay, at least we can get it, but otherwise we have that difficulty, Prabhuji, means when we go out somewhere.
Very nice question, Prabhu. Bhakti Ratnakaru, you want to answer that? I'm sure you have thoughts about it.
Prabhuji, if you don't mind, Madhupati Prabhuji called me, so I stepped away. What was the starting of the question? I didn't know. I heard only the second part, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji is saying when you're going on a office trip, you're going on a office get-together, business meetings, you have to go and start eating in a restaurant. And also whenever you go for 2-3 days, there are some challenges in, and also Prabhuji also talked about Ekadasi. So how do you address that? I have my own thought, but I'd like to hear
Sure,
Bhakti Ratnakar Prabhu.
my personal experience, Prabhuji, because I travel a lot. I used to travel a lot, not now. Prabhuji, first of all, there is a stark difference. I'm just repeating, Prabhuji, this is not the answer, but I want to reiterate what you have very beautifully explained end to end, Prabhuji. That there is a stark difference, Prabhuji, when we eat Krishna Prasadam and we eat food outside. There is a workaround, Prabhuji, which I followed, but still that is just a workaround. That is not the solution. The workaround I have used is, Prabhuji, Shri Vrindavandas Prabhuji, I asked the same question to Shri Vrindavandas Prabhuji. He told that say Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. Before you eat the food, utter this, Prabhuji. So is it the same as Krishna Prasadam? May not be same, because as you have rightly explained, Prabhuji, the consciousness goes from the cook into the food, Prabhuji. So that consciousness is, no matter what, is imbibed by us, whether we want it or do not want it. Only thing is the effect when we say Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, the effect is less, but still there is a risk, Prabhuji. So what is the practical solution, Prabhuji, is the practical solution, what I followed is not a Krishna conscious, Prabhuji. I used to have a cook, means I used to go to a restaurant where the cook only cooks for me, specially, right? But still, Prabhuji, that's not a solution, because the utensils, the consciousness is not Krishna conscious, right? He may do it out of love, but he's not Krishna conscious, Prabhuji. So the only workaround which I was following, I would say, is that, Prabhuji, the Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. But if you can survive, Prabhuji, on fruits, this is what Srimandavandas Prabhu told me, that's what I'm repeating, Prabhuji. If you can survive on nuts and fruits, Prabhuji, try that. Take the food, take dry food from home, Prabhuji, like chivada or something, which is offered to Krishna, and you can take, or another practical, these are all the practical things I'm telling you, Prabhuji. What I did for some time is, it's not feasible, I used to take the rice cooker with me and take because the main, Srimandavandas Prabhuji told that the main issue comes from the grains, Prabhuji. So take your own rice and cook it there and eat, because if you eat rice from the hotels and this, because we know in Bhagavad Gita it is clearly mentioned that through sacrifice the rains come, and from the rains the grains grow into rice, and that rice when we eat, that is what the whole cycle is, right, Prabhuji? So the root is the rice, means basically the grains, Prabhuji. So since we cannot stay with, our body is used to grains, so take your rice cooker and do a small offering, Prabhuji, and eat it, Prabhuji. That is one solution. Say you don't have that facility, as a backup, keep your dry food in, whatever you can take, which doesn't become which has a longer shelf life, Prabhuji. Try that one. Add fruits and nuts. And suppose if you have to go to a common, like when you are going out, means you are going on a, say, common lunch or a dinner with the team, then Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. This is what I can think of, Prabhuji, but practically. And on Ekadashi days, Prabhuji, that is very important. Ekadashi is not only meant for austerity, Prabhuji. Ekadashi is meant biologically also, that you are giving a break to your system from the basically the carbs, means the high carb content which we eat. So the body has, like how every system has a maintenance cycle, so that way our body is recycled, Prabhuji, from the toxins. That is the main, because we drink more water and eat less carbs, so the body metabolism throws away the toxins for that Ekadashi, Prabhuji. So for Ekadashi, if you have to go on a Ekadashi day and you don't find an ISKCON or some arrangement, Prabhuji, I would say that uh, take peanuts with you, beforehand that you are going, and take some quinoa or whatever you like, Prabhuji, quinoa or farali atta or something, farali grains basically, or and just cook something and eat with. What I did is I used to eat. Why we can eat with the rice with banana or something, Prabhuji. Just like how in Kerala during Vishu they give the rice, banana, and ghee, right? You can adopt that, Prabhuji. So
Yeah.
these are some of the practical things I like to share, Prabhuji. But Him Jagannath Prabhu, please
Yeah.
give some
So
scientific and all of that, Prabhu.
definitely. Thank you, Prabhu. It's very nice. But see, think about today. Today is Akshaya Tritiya. Mother Draupadi had this vessel from Indra, and it's all about what we eat goes into our consciousness. And today, what a day, Akshaya Tritiya. That means from this vessel, never ever food is going to end. So food is very, very important, not just spiritually, for everything. Food is, most of the time we end up doing this big jobs just to get food onto the table. So let's not kid ourselves with the fact that food is not important. So, and after after getting jobs, this, that, and all, if at all we are choosing a food based on a consciousness which is not in the mode of goodness, then it is a real waste of time. So, so the practical examples, we have so many ISKCON temples now. Whenever you go on tour, there will be some ISKCON temple nearby. And also there are connections wherein you can find a devotee who can definitely pack food for you. Like whenever a devotee from Hyderabad, um, Mohan Prabhu, Madan Mohan Prabhu, he came and he was on a 1 month trip to New Jersey, and one of our local devotees, because he was staying in extended stay America for a month, and always he used to get the packed dinner or lunch from one of our devotees from the temple. So there is opportunities wherein you can avail the services of devotees who can pack prasadam for you, and it is priceless. Eating prasadam, when it is cooked by a devotee with love and devotion, it goes into your bloodstream, and that really sets the consciousness. And he stayed for a month, and he never ever ate anything outside. So there are challenges, but ISKCON temple, Govinda will be there. If there is no ISKCON temple, a devotee will be there. And if there is no devotee, we'll have a rice cooker carried with you. Otherwise, we'll survive on fruits. See, this is a pure austerity. This is to the level. And this is where the people who are not in this side of the fence would always laugh at us and saying that, hey, they are so finicky, this, that. It's not finicky. It's an ability to take our sadhana, and there is a question, at a time when we are tested, can we live based on what is recommended? So this is not anything to do with being fundamental in any way, or because this is a way of life, and Krishna in these three verses just said it so beautifully. So as much as possible, if you adhere to it, you will get benefited. It has nothing to do. Your consciousness will be good. You'll not be having all kind of weird dreams sometimes when you end up sort of eating something which is a bit nonsensical in nature. So there are benefits actually, and whenever you eat Krishna Prasadam, it's very nourishing for all of us. Even if there is a little prasadam, even if it is come from a dham, it has its power. And more we think deep into it, it's going to benefit us. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Prabhuji, one question. In the morning, we eat the cereal, Prabhuji, right? Because it is quick, easy, and what is your recommendation, Prabhuji? Because that is definitely the thing which we eat outside prasadam. Means, of course, we offer, means we take the name of Krishna, but we don't offer cereal to Krishna generally, right, Prabhuji?
That's true. So most of the time when you end up eating this cereal, the cornflakes and whatever, we do not offer. But what happens, Prabhu, is you can get raw corn without any sugar. You can make so many different items at home, and using corn as a byproduct, you can make a real good product out of it. And that toasted corns or this, that, whatever you can make, and then you can also make a nice dish out of it, porridge or oatmeal or whatever. And if you can make it into an item, put some bananas, throw some other fruits, and you can make some nice item if you have time. Otherwise, if you are having meetings very early in the morning, you can always do Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu to purify the content and eat it. See, Krishna consciousness is a gift, and it is a gift which is pleasing to us, right? So whenever it's pleasing to us, we can take one or two steps in pleasing the Lord and be pleased with the fact that you have pleased the Lord. So there are items you can make, Prabhu, if I've answered your question correctly, with the raw cornflakes and raw oatmeal to the full capacity, and make some nice item out of it if we have time. Otherwise, we'll just purify it, put some milk and banana and eat it, right?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's what I try to stay to the cereals, not the honey bunches of oats. I used to eat that, Prabhuji, but yes, but still, I don't, means frankly speaking, they're not offered, Prabhuji, but I try to say that, Krishna, please accept. That's all I do. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm.
definitely. Definitely, if you have back-to-back meetings, you sometimes don't
Right.
even have time. Your mind is not going to work. So it's understandable. Okay, bro.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, bro. Any other comments or reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Vishnu.
So, Prabhuji, food prepared more than 3 hours comes under the mode of ignorance, right? So sometimes what happens, Prabhuji, morning when we cook, right, we give offer to Krishna, and sometimes due to, let's say, not health, so we eat the same food night also, but that's more than 3 hours, Prabhuji. Is that okay or?
Yeah, so Prabhu, this is where we have this this situation where we have to use Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. In the sense, Prabhu, it all depends on at what stage of sadhana you are. If you have a small kid and you have so many things going on in your life, it's fine. But a time will come when Krishna will give you an opportunity to practice that. So just because at this stage of your life, you have so many things going on, you have to look at your family, drop your kid in the school, this, that, and all. It is understandable. So don't take that. But what Krishna is saying is, That's a North Star. Krishna is saying this is the recommendation. And if you can't do it, for the sake of doing that, don't break your family or don't break your office meetings and things like that. So Krishna is saying that's what we all should aspire towards. A time will come when kids will go to the school by school, then you'll have time. Then you'll probably never eat the one which you made in the morning. So it is a gold standard, and we all are in different phases of our sadhana, and we should all try at some form of time to adhere to it. So for the time being, if you think it is too much for Mataji's to keep cooking again and again, uh, it's okay. But Krishna is telling this is how you stay nourished, and if you want to take care of your health, um, you might like to follow that as a recommendation, and it helps actually. Eating fresh food is always make in small quantity, finish it off, and make again, so that you're always fresh in your ability to cook and consume. Okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, thanks,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
also in the same purport, if you have seen Prabhuji, I think that's how I interpreted. Maybe I that if the food is prepared even more for us, but if it is offered and it's a Krishna Prasadam, there is no. I think there is we can take a
Yes,
deviation with Prabhuji.
that's true. So when the Jagannath Khaja comes from Jagannath Puri, it takes a couple of weeks to get here. So when the Lord has taken it, there are exceptions to it. But don't give old foodstuff to the Lord, because that is not recommended. But
Yeah.
here it is said that anytime the Lord has taken it, and even if it is 2-3 months, it is good. Whenever Khaja comes from Jagannath Puri, there's a big line in our temple to take it. So the exception is if it is offered to the Lord, it is good. You can consume it. But the point here is, if you end up doing that again and again as a habit, your habit is going to go for a toss. We get into this escapism, and we become slaves to these easy going lifestyle. So it's fine, Prabhu, to do it, but because it is offered to the Lord, you can have it again. But if you can have it again, but the Lord can't have it again, right? So what are you going to feed? If you have deities at home, you have to offer at least 3 times, breakfast, lunch, dinner, unlike 8 times in temple. So you have to do something to do that. Then because you can't reuse the food which you are offered in the morning again in the evening, you can partake it, because Krishna is saying, I have taken it, it stays pure for some time. So it's a sadhana built into a practice, and that practice is an ability to cook something fresh, like Nitya Navina. Radharani used to Nitya Navina. She never gives the same item to Krishna again and again. So we have a long way to go, because Radharani is the greatest devotee of the Lord. But our intent is to make more and more alert in this preparation, and more you prepare and offer, you get more and more fresh, and that helps you. Okay.
Thanks,
Also,
Prabhuji.
the timing also Krishna is telling, because the food, the nutritive value of the food stays for 3 to 4 hours, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Nutritive value decreases, Prabhuji. That's why Krishna is insisting to eat fresh food, so that we have a well nourished.
Right.
The effect of nourishment is correct, Prabhuji. Sattvic, basically,
Yeah.
for the body, for the mind, and the soul,
Mm.
both, all three.
Yeah. So whenever the Gita Nagari crew will come and give a katha in temple, there is Parijat Mataji, who scientifically gave a lecture on when you pasteurize milk, it eventually all the nutrients are taken away, and it is made to stay for 3 weeks. That means they have put enough inside so that the milk can stay that long. So that means the nutrition value has been compromised to such extent, and that is why, the cruel-free milk from Gita Nagari, which we all are subscribing to, why the nutrition value of that. And if you take that milk, the milk is yellow in color actually. It's so full of nutrition. So you can basically compare and contrast the vitamin D milk you end up getting on the supermarkets and compare to that. And they have a nice presentation on how we have butchered the ability to make the food stay long. Any food which stays long has inherently a lot of salt added to it, a lot of carcinogens added to it, and more you end up eating canned food, this food, that food. It has impacts to our health. So and and Krishna is so beautifully explaining the importance of fresh food in our lives, and more we adhere to it. It's not a spiritual thing; it's a healthy thing, and all of us should end up doing some healthy thing in our life, not do unhealthy thing. Any other comments?
One
Bhagavad?
point, Prabhuji, the fatty food which Krishna is recommending also, Prabhuji, if you study the biological aspect of it, Prabhuji, the physiological aspect of it, our body needs fatty food and they need lubrication, Prabhuji. Our muscles and joints, they need a lot of lubrication that comes from the fat only, Prabhuji.
Right.
So that is very important, that fat, we can't be conscious of, oh, only thing is the problem is that we are becoming conscious of the fat because we are not doing correct devotional service. Means we are not chanting and doing kirtan, we are not working on the fields like self-sufficiency, right? Previously our ancestors were working on fields, so that used to get burned down and turned into the basically whatever the body needed, like oils and all, they used to lubricate our joints, right? So it's again, as Prabhuji told, it's a way of life, Prabhuji, Bhagavad Gita. So by doing devotional service, we can definitely earn that food, Prabhuji. Devotional service.
Yes.
So that's the point I just want to mention.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Any other comments before we end? Reflections?
Today is Akshay Tritiya, Prabhuji. Happy Akshay Tritiya to everyone.
Yeah, happy Akshay Tritiya to everyone. What a
Happy.
very powerful day. The chariot construction starts today in Jagannath Puri. Actually, Akshay Tritiya in India is tomorrow, 23rd.
Tomorrow, yes.
But anything you start today, you hear Krishna Katha, you read few chapters, you do anything good, it's magnified. It's all about timing, right? In your career, if something ended up in right time, it grows. Whenever you hit a cricket shot, it's all about timing. Likewise, if you do something good today, it gets magnified. So do all the good today you can think of, and a lot of devotees in our temple, they are donating to various different causes. Whatever cause attracts you. There is Indian Tribal Care, who is doing a lot of, it's a ministry with ISKCON, which is doing a lot of great work in the downtrodden areas, and you can Google it. They have some campaign going on now. That's very good actually, because and anything which attracts you, anything which motivates you, anything which uh, which makes you compassionate, anything which gives you that element of sacrifice. So we are basically, whenever we are hearing all these big terms, hearing big terms and telling big terms is not the objective of this. How we take it away and apply it in our 24/7/365. That is important. So if this hearing hasn't set that cord up wherein you are not inclined to be compassionate, you're not inclined to sacrifice, you're not inclined to do some austerity, then this is all theory, right? So Bhagavad Gita is a very practical implementation, and more we hear, it should help us transform. Please do whatever you can. For today is being very auspicious day, you'll get a lot of benefit. It's about you, it's not about so please take the benefit of this auspicious day. Any other thoughts? Good, thank you,
Prabhuji,
Prabhu.
one question, Prabhuji, on the Indian tribal care. Last time you told that we have a mechanism to send funds from here, right, Prabhuji? Can we
Yes, yes.
contact you on that?
I'll share it to you too.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay, so let's end here. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Let's all pay obeisance at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas by saying Vancha kalpataruvascha kripa sindhu vaivach patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Grantaraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.